The best way for adults to live is to lower their expectations of others and to place more faith in themselves. In life, having expectations is natural. It gives us hope, drives us forward, and shapes our goals. But there is a crucial difference between having healthy expectations of oneself and relying on others to fulfill our needs or desires. When our happiness depends on the actions, attitudes, or changes we want others to make, we surrender control of our own well-being. This often leads to disappointment, frustration, and a sense of powerlessness. Expectations, when placed on others, can be like building a house on a shaky foundation. No matter how well you design your plans or how much effort you put in, if the base is unstable, everything above is at risk. People are unpredictable, each with their own complexities, histories, and motivations. When you expect someone to change for your sake or act according to your wishes, you're setting yourself up for heartache. The truth is simple. The only person you can truly change is yourself. Imagine a scenario where you invest time and energy into a relationship, be it with a friend, colleague, or family member, hoping that they will alter their behavior to suit your preferences. Perhaps you want them to be more considerate, more supportive, or more ambitious. Every time they fall short, you feel let down. The cycle repeats, and over time, resentment builds. The reality is, while you can communicate your needs and boundaries, the choice to change lies entirely with the other person. Expecting otherwise only brings disappointment. But what happens when you shift your expectations inward? Focusing on what you can control, your actions, your mindset, your reactions, empowers you. It transforms obstacles into opportunities for growth. Instead of waiting for someone else to make you happy or meet your standards, you take responsibility for your own fulfillment. This doesn't mean you should never hope for positive outcomes or trust others. Rather, you balance your hopes with the understanding that your happiness is your own to cultivate. When we expect too much from others, we often overlook their limitations and humanity. Everyone has their struggles, insecurities, and blind spots. Expecting people to always meet our standards is unfair, not just to them, but to ourselves as well. It's important to recognize that people make mistakes, have bad days, and may not always respond as we wish. By lowering our expectations of others, we become more compassionate, patient, and understanding. We give them space to be themselves, and in doing so, we relieve ourselves of unnecessary stress. This principle applies in many areas of life. In work, for example, expecting colleagues to behave perfectly or managers to always recognize your efforts may lead to disappointment. Instead, focus on your own performance, your own growth, and your own satisfaction. In friendships, expecting friends to always be available or to fulfill every emotional need can constrain the relationship. Instead, cherish the moments you share and seek fulfillment in your own pursuits. The same goes for family. Family dynamics can be complicated, and expecting family members to change, to be more supportive or understanding, may not always be realistic. Accepting them as they are and focusing on building your own resilience can bring peace and acceptance. This doesn't mean you shouldn't communicate openly or set boundaries when necessary. Rather, it means recognizing that your happiness should not depend solely on another person's willingness to change. Lowering expectations of others doesn't mean lowering your standards or accepting poor treatment. It means understanding the limits of your influence and focusing your energy where it can make the greatest impact on yourself. You can set boundaries, express your needs, and make choices that align with your values. You can choose how to respond when others disappoint you. This is the essence of personal power. Self-expectation, when healthy, acts as a compass. It guides you toward your goals, helps you overcome challenges, and reminds you of your worth. When you set realistic expectations for yourself, ones that challenge you but remain attainable, you fuel your motivation and build self-confidence. Every achievement, no matter how small, becomes a source of satisfaction. You learn to celebrate your progress and to forgive your setbacks. This process builds resilience and self-acceptance. Of course, it's natural to want connection, support, and understanding from others. Human relationships enrich our lives and help us grow. But the key is to approach them with an open heart and realistic expectations. You can hope for kindness and reciprocity, but you don't hinge your happiness on them. You nurture relationships, but you don't depend on them for your sense of self-worth. Ultimately, the best way for adults to live is to recognize the boundary between what they can control and what they cannot. By placing suitable expectations on themselves, they become the architects of their own lives. They learn to adapt, to grow, and to find fulfillment from within. By letting go of unrealistic expectations of others, they free themselves from cycles of disappointment and resentment. They learn to accept people as they are, to forgive, and to move forward with grace. This mindset doesn't come overnight. It requires self-awareness, reflection, and sometimes a bit of trial and error. It means letting go of the urge to control or change others and embracing the responsibility to shape your own life. It means nurturing self-compassion and understanding, knowing that you too are a work in progress. In daily life, this approach can be transformative. When faced with challenges, ask yourself what you can do to improve the situation. When someone disappoints you, reflect on why their actions affected you and consider how you can respond constructively. When you feel frustrated by circumstances beyond your control, remind yourself of your strengths and your ability to adapt. This is not about isolation or self-sufficiency to the point of loneliness. Rather, it's about creating a healthy balance, valuing relationships but not depending on them for happiness. It's about building a foundation of self-confidence and resilience, so that when life throws challenges your way, you're ready to face them. In the end, the happiest and most fulfilled adults are those who place reasonable expectations on themselves while accepting others as they are. They take responsibility for their own happiness, and in doing so, create lives filled with purpose, peace, and genuine connection. By lowering expectations of others and raising their own standards, they become the creators of their own destiny. And that, perhaps, is the best way to live.